Hello, as you know, my name is Kindson the Genius, and today is the second day of ASP.NET C# programming, and this tutorial is going to be 24 days. And today we are going to look at starting a C# application, and we're also going to look at structure of a C# program. Remember that in day one we got a free copy of Visual Studio. If you've already installed it, then you are good to go with the second day. By the end of these 24 days, you should be able to write and run programs on C# using ASP.NET Visual Studio. So let's get into our lectures for today. Today we are going to create a console application. We are going to see the difference between a web application and a console application. We are going to look at the basic syntax of the C# program. We're going to differentiate between class and method, look at multi-line and single line comments in C#. We understand what the main method or the main procedure is all about, and look at a few keywords in C++. So let's put all this and then go and open Visual Studio. This is based on Visual Studio 2013. I use Visual Studio 2013 because it's very robust, and if you have 2015 you can also follow along in this tutorial. So let's see, we are going to create a console application, and that is where we are going to start the lectures for today. So let's go ahead to open Visual Studio. So what we are going to do is go to File and go to New and then go to Project. Alright, so C++ have dozens of types of projects that you can actually build, but today we are going to look at console applications. So click on Visual C++ and then look for console application. So I'm going to call it day 2. Alright, so at this point you can actually leave this checked because it creates a folder for your application. So you go ahead to click on OK. Alright, so it creates a console application for us. Now there are a few things you need to understand about this. Okay, let's see where we are. Okay, we created a console application. We also say we are going to create a web application. So this is a console application, and this file that is open is called program.cs. Okay, so it creates an application and also create a file called program.cs, this file. Alright, so now you have this hierarchy of items in program.cs. You have this main method. Inside program.cs you have a class, you have a method. Alright, let's minimize this and let's go ahead to, let's create this time a web application. New project. This time we call it day 2 web. So to create a web application still on C#, click on web and see ASP.NET web application. Now if you drop down you see Visual Studio 2012. Normally in 2013 you'll always see this, but now you have to click on ASP.NET web application, call it day 2 web, and then OK. So now it displays this new ASP.NET dialog box. So normally we can actually start with empty. We can start with web forms. I'll say let's start with empty for now. This is not necessary. We'll talk about this at a different time. So we are creating an empty web application in C#. Alright, so here you have day 2 web, and now there is no file at all. So to add a file, you can actually right click and add a file to this project, but we are not going to do that. So why I created this is to tell you the difference between a web application and a console application. Okay, so What is a web application? A web application is an application that can run on the web. So what it means is, if you right click on this, you can actually add a web form. You can add a HTML page, you can add a web form, and you can add other components of a website. So for instance, we can add HTML page, and let's call it index. So now we are talking about a web application. So you can see the index page here. So this is how easy it is to build a web application using a Visual Studio in the C# programming language. Alright, let's exit from here and then open back our console application. So let's save this. We'll come back to this at a different time. So let's open the console application. So go back here, just click on, or you can just go to recent project and solution. We have day 2. This day 2. Yes. So now we are opening back the console application. Now, what is a console application? A console application is an application you interact with from the command line. So what it means is that if we run this application now, it will give us option to interact with it from the command line. So let's say we click on start. So what happens is it displays the output and also closes back. Okay, so that is one thing that happens. So in a console application, you don't actually have web pages, you don't have HTML files, you simply have a command line interface for you to work with. So why are we using console application at this time when many applications are based on GUI? Console application will help you understand how C# works. If you understand console application, it will be very easy to build web applications after now. So let's now look at the next part, basic syntax of a C# program. Now a C# program is made up of about 2 parts. We have the preprocessor directives, or we can say the using directives in the beginning of the program, and then you have the main part of the program. Now this part will always have to be in the beginning. Then you have namespace. Namespace, day 2, simply means the folder that contains the program. So it means namespace day 2, you can always see this is the namespace. Then you have class. All C# program will actually have a class, or it belong to a class. So class program, this we can change if we want. Then inside it you can have a number of options. Normally inside a class you must have a method, but for every C# program that you need to run, you must have a main method. Now the next question you may ask is, what is the difference between a method and a class? Before we do that, I would like to tell you about comments. Comments in a program are parts of the program that don't actually run. So if you want to add your name in the program, you can actually write it program by Kindson the Genius. So in this way, the compiler does not actually worry about this comment. So to do a single line comment, you use /. Now I want to do a multi-line comment. What I'm going to do is I use /* and then close it by /*. Okay, close it by // so everything in between is a multi-line comment. So this is multi-line. So this can actually span several lines. Okay, so you can write as many as possible, as any number of lines you want to write can actually be inside this multi-line comment. So for single line you have // for multi-line you have /* and then // to close it. Alright, so let's now take almost the last part, the main procedure and also the main procedure or method. We've discussed it. What's the difference between a class and a method? A method is a function. So this is a function. We have the return type, void, and the name of the function and parameter list. We're going to discuss more about methods at a different time, but just know that a C# program must have a class. Inside a class, you must have methods or methods. Alright, so keywords in C++. Keywords are reserved words that are used by the program. For instance, you have using, you have system, you have namespace, you have class, you have static, you have void, you have string. So normally in an IDE or a programming language application, keywords are normally colored. So it's called syntax coloration. Okay. So this is the structure of a C# program. So anything I'm going to write actually will come in between, inside or in between the method. So if I want to write system.out system dot console dot write line. So okay, yes. So what I'm trying to illustrate is that everything has to be inside the methods. So at this point we have this program. So let's go ahead to run it to see what happens. So as you can see, this is the output of this program. If I press enter, it goes away. So this is day 2. At this point, I'd like you to take your time to understand all these concepts, because we are not going to go back to all of them again. So I'd like to thank you for viewing. Be ready for the day 3, and remember to subscribe so that when I make the next presentation, you'll get notified. And what I also want to remind you, this takes some discipline, so make out time at least 2 times a week, maybe 15 to 20 minutes to go through. I'd like to thank you again for viewing.